Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me. In today's episode, we are covering, or should I say, continuing the coverage of the Texas House of Horrors, where the twins escape to find some freedom. So, we're going to update you on what we know. And the biggest thing I want to dive into is how they managed to escape this terrible, terrible ordeal that they were faced with. And so we're going to be doing a deep dive into what we do know now. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Today we're sharing with you how the two 16-year-old twins plotted their brave escape from the House of Horrors. And we're going to be sharing with you everything we know and all the updates around this. It is a tragic, tragic story. And so the two 16-year-old teens, one boy, one girl, they were held captive in Texas by their mother, made their daring escape after the boy hid the key to their handcuffs in his mouth and waited for their mom and her boyfriend to fall asleep. The severely malnourished teenage girl and boy have already told how they and their siblings had been starved, beaten, handcuffed, kept naked, and forced to eat their own excrement. Court documents have now revealed that the boy held the key in his mouth and waited for their mother, Zakiah Duncan, 40 years old, and boyfriend, Jova Terrell, 26, to fall asleep. The children have also alleged that they were whipped with electrical cords, beaten with a metal rod, and made to drink bleach as a punishment. They said they had to drink water from a supply valve in the washing machine and that their mother would force them to take up to 2 dozen Benadryl in order to get to sleep. The neighbor who assisted them, who wishes to remain anonymous, spoke to Good Morning America, sharing some of this and what crazy ordeal that these kids were dealing with. And so she spoke to Good Morning America after assisting them. Now, she does wish to remain anonymous at this time, but she did speak to Good Morning America, and she shared that she is still in shock and that the kids are still in shock at the condition in which she found them. She said their hands were so swollen, their poor hands were bigger than the rest of their bodies. And that's where it's extremely heartbreaking to know that kids would be forced to deal with this. Now, Jeff McShann, a spokesman for the county constable's office, confirmed the kids weren't allowed to leave the laundry room and they were naked most of the time. Duncan and her boyfriend Terrell, they have been detained after their oldest children, 16-year-old twins, escaped from the home the family had recently relocated to in Houston, Texas, and begged neighbors for help. Now, we did find out that they may have also had an 18, or the mom may have had an 18-year-old son. We have still not heard or confirmed on there being an 18-year-old son. So I just shared that the oldest 16-year-old, well, that was living with them. The 18-year-old, again, they still haven't even found this 18-year-old. So we don't know much on that particular matter in this. And so we only wait to find out, okay, so where is this boy, right? Where is the 18-year-old that was part of this family? Where did he go if he is? So, as I mentioned, Duncan and Terrell, they are detained after the children, 16-year-old twins, escaped from the home. And so the family, they had recently relocated in Houston, Texas, and the kids, they were begging neighbors for help. Now, McShann, who I just showed in that picture, he confirmed to dailymail.com that the pair have been charged with aggravated assault of a family member. The children remain hospitalized. It's likely they will go into the foster care system once they've physically recovered. And the Texas Department of Family Protective Services has started their own investigation into the case. We only wish that they had started this investigation a lot sooner. And so we don't really know more that what they're being charged with other than cruelty to the family and child abuse, because this is a terrible, terrible, this just shouldn't happen. It, you wish it wouldn't, but unfortunately these crazy things happen, right? And so now we wait to find out where's the 18-year-old. What will they both face the same amount of charges? And so the biggest thing that I'm a little worried about is how are the kids going to deal with this as they move into adulthood, which for these twins, in 2 years, they'll be on their own. 2 years, they'll be on their own. And my question is, were there any other complaints to the Department of Family Protective Services about these kids? Because I have shared that the mom had already a history of child abuse cases. And so this new information comes after disturbing new video that has come up showing Duncan dancing happily with her children. And we don't really know more than that. Okay, so you can see here where they're just dancing away, doing a TikTok. And so Duncan acting like she's a great mom, having fun with all her kids, with the children smiling. And this was a little over a year before two of them escaped her captivity and told of an appalling regime of abuse. Yet the previous summer, Duncan was posting proud photos of her children, and the years before that, here they were dancing together on TikToks. And so, but the two twins are not really seen a lot in these images or anything like that. And so the mom recorded herself dancing with the children to viral trends at the time, just months before the twisted reign of abuse started behind closed doors at their home. And Duncan, she is known to be the mother of 7 children. The 16-year-old twins, 7-year-old Nicholas Menina, 10-year-old Zayden Menina, another set of twins, 12-year-old boys, Javion and Javier Menina, and 14-year-old Gerard Menina. And my first question is, do these two twins, boy and girl, have the same last name as the rest of the kids? Or was this from a different dad? She's extremely upset at that dad, and she abuses these two kids more than anything else. Because I know of a story just like that, where one person, and this is very close to home for my family, one person was abused as a child. Her older sister even did the unthinkable when this person was a child. And she had a different dad. And so her mom treated her horribly. And the mom's sister is the one who spoke up for this child. And again, this hits me very close to home because this is part of my family. I didn't know them at the time. They weren't a part of my family. Let's just say married into my family. Let's just say that because I don't want to get too deep because it's not my story to tell. But until the mom's sister stepped in, no one was fighting for this little girl. Many, many decades later, the sister would later apologize to the younger sister. But at the end of the day, when the little girl was put into foster care, that family fell in love with her, fought for her, and later adopted her. And these are stories that do happen. It does happen. So to know this, my first question is the last name Menina? I'm gonna guess that because they're they're said to be the oldest, again, 18-year-old still not confirmed, but 16, and then the second set of twins is 12 years old. And then there's a 14-year-old Jared Menina. So my first question is, are these two kids' last name Menina? With that being said, all 7 are now in the care of Child Protective Services. And the father of the children, Nicholas Menina, a photographer and media director for a Baptist evangelical megachurch who lives in Baton Rouge with his wife, told DailyMail.com he did not wish to comment. I probably wouldn't comment either, because what happened? Were these two your daughter and your son, the 17-year-olds? Were they your daughter and your son? Or should I say 16-year-old twins? Was that your daughter and your son? I mean, if he has something to hide, there's probably a good chance why he's hiding it. Like, where were you? You know, you got the family acting like a big old family. Where were you, Nicholas? Were you in the kid's life when all of this was going on? And these 16-year-olds, it's such a heartbreaking moment. And so from December 2018, Duncan was sporadically on Instagram and posted 15 photos of herself with her children, cousins, sisters, and friends. And she says, "I love spending time with my boys." She captioned one photo in April 2021 with 4 of her 6 sons sitting around a kitchen table eating candy. A month later, in May 2021, she posted a photo of her youngest son, Nicholas, graduating from Ideas Academy School. And she writes, "Congratulations to my baby boy Nicholas on all his accomplishments this school year. I'm so proud of you." She even writes, "Second grade, here he comes. LOL, he is the tallest in his class." And this is where it's like, what's going on there with this? Okay, like this mom, she forces the kids, the twins, to drink bleach and poured it on their genitals, made them eat and drink their own urine and feces, and beat them with metal rods and fed them mustard sandwiches once a week. That is as despicable as it gets. Why would she do such a heinous thing? And what is more sad is the act she tries to put on Instagram and other places. And so an Instagram video shows children of the mother who kept 16-year-old twins shackled in their Texas home reading scripted Mother's Day letters declaring their love for their mother. And so it's crazy that you find out how much she would make them seem like she was a great mom. And so last May, at least 2 of her children appeared on camera to read Mother's Day messages to both Duncan and their Nana as part of a series of videos she posted to Instagram depicting a happy family. And so one of her boys says, "To my mom, I thank you for raising me. You are the light of my life. I love you so much. I thank you for helping me throughout life. You have been here for me my whole life, and I thank you for that." The video then cuts to one of the girls addressing her Nana and saying that even though she doesn't like to go to the store with her, she will because it's Mother's Day, before saying a brief "I love you" to Duncan. And this is where you can see them reading the letter, the scripted letter. And so I'm definitely not buying it that that's what they were really feeling. And, to find this out, this follows up the unearthing of TikToks, also showing Duncan attempting to put up the facade of a loving family to hide her years of abuse. So here she is putting up the facade of that loving family to hide those years of abuse of her 7 children. And Duncan wrote a caption for the video: "I was so speechless when I saw their part." But now you already know that the people would find this video. And so the comments section of the video and all of Duncan's Instagram posts are now full of people berating them of how she treated her children and accusing her of staging the videos to make it appear that they love her. And the mom recorded herself dancing with the children to viral trends, as you just saw. And so she just seems like she's very fake, if you ask me. From what it sounds like, she's very fake. And now we want to know what's next for these poor children after they were left naked and handcuffed. This type of stuff, these two will definitely be paying for their crimes. They were caught in Baton Rouge, and they're going to be taken back to Houston to face their music. And this is where one of the teens were seen showing the handcuffs. And so the pair, they were kept naked and handcuffed to a removable dolly in the laundry room, and their feet were often zip tied. And the photos of the twins showed deep cuts, bruises, and scars on their wrists and ankles, along with other parts of the body. The boy said he found a handcuff key in his mother's purse and hid it in his mouth, then made a pre-dawn early in the morning run for freedom at around 5 a.m. And he was only wearing pants when he escaped, and the girl had on a thin hoodie and pants. Both were barefoot when a neighbor took them in after they knocked on several doors. They knocked on several doors with people telling them, looking through their ring, sorry, move on. Literally, one guy told them, "Not happening, move on." That just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And to see the abuse that these kids were subjected to. Oh my gosh. And so now we just wait to see. I'm still curious. Is there an 18-year-old son? Where's he at? Where is he at? And so, she makes them drink household cleaners like Lysol and Easy Off as a punishment if they talk too much. And this is according to the court documents that were obtained. Duncan forbade her children to use the bathroom, and they were forced to defecate and urinate on themselves and then eat and drink it. The children told the investigators they were subject to extreme beatings, with their mother using extension cords, curtain rods, and other metal poles to hit them. Her boyfriend, Terrell, often punched the 16-year-old boy. The children, who were severely malnourished when they escaped, said they were starved and fed 1 to 3 times a week, surviving on sandwiches made of mustard or relish or bologna. And that is a bunch of craziness. And, what I find, it's like, thank you to the neighbor who did finally open the door to these two kids. The single mother with her daughter home, she had the courage. Look at the wrist of this little boy. And it is believed that the family only moved into the Houston neighborhood this summer, living in an expensive home in a smart neighborhood. And the home on Marina Alto Lane has sold in late July and was valued between $552,000 and $627,000. Now, police are yet to confirm whether Duncan and her boyfriend have bought or rented the house. And I don't even know if they even had jobs to afford this. So those are very odd. But the 4-bedroom, 3.5-bath home includes a formal living and dining room, covered patio, 2-car attached garage, and access to a well-kept community pool and water park. And my gosh, Duncan, she had previously been accused of child abuse 10 years ago in Louisiana. A 5-year-old child of hers was taken from school to a local hospital to be treated for burns to his feet, genitals, and other parts of his body. Doctors determined it was likely the result of being burned by hot water. The boy also had bruises on his torso, back, hip, and buttocks. When police went to Duncan's home, they found a 20-month-old child wrapped in clothing with his hands bound. The only other person in the home was the child's 4-year-old brother, according to documents. And police said Duncan admitted to routinely disciplining one child by making him get into a push-up position for up to an hour, causing the child's hands to swell. The child was also forced to sleep on the closet floor with the door of the closet blocked by boards to keep the child from escaping and stealing food from the kitchen. This is according to court documents. And police reported at the time that 2 of Duncan's other children also showed signs of abuse and were removed from the home. They said Duncan admitted she had been investigated for abuse of the child in the past. And at that time, she was charged with cruelty to juveniles, but the children were ultimately returned to her. And you can see on this ring camera when the twins escape and they're going home to home asking to please be let in. They literally were denied help. And so this is that big house that they were living in. Again, no one knows if they were renting it, bought it, freeloading. No one really knows more. But when it was last sold in July, it definitely was a very wealthy neighborhood and access to this big community pool. And now we wait to see what happens to these two. This is one of the most heinous crimes we can ever be even know about. I forgot to throw on my sweatshirt. Speak up to end child abuse. And so whenever I cover kids cases, I try to wear my child abuse sweaters as a reminder that these kids are innocent. Sure, they may do their own stupid things on their own because they're kids learning how world works, right? And so, but for what this mom did, my question is, did she think she was going to get away with this forever? Did she think that these kids were going to grow up and be like, okay, mom, we love you. We'll never say a word? What was she thinking? We'll never know that answer. We'll never understand the motive. We, was her nana, was her mom mean? Was the kid's grandma mean as well? You know, I told you the story about the little girl who was abused, and her grandmother was just as mean as the mom. Was that the case here? Because that grandma didn't protect this little girl. And again, this was like 40 years ago, but that grandma didn't protect this little girl. Did this grandma try to protect? You got the story of Quentin Simon. His grandmother allegedly loved and cared and tried and worked hard to protect, allegedly. But then she's seen out at the bar with her daughter who she believed did something to Quentin Simon. Very confusing. Why? I don't understand people's train of thoughts, you know. But there you have it, my friends. That's the updated story around the Texas House of Horrors where the twins escape. My friends, if this is the type of content you like to follow, please hit that subscribe button. If you got some value, hit the like button because that's going to let YouTube know you got some value. Show it to more people. And you know, and at the end of the day, I have one goal here. I have one goal. And that is literally to help you stay on top of what could go wrong in this crazy world that we live in. Because truth is, it is a crazy world we live in. And, you know, thank you for sharing that, Kyra, because someone needs to. I'm blown away that more people are not talking about this story. I'm still confused as to why aren't more people talking about this story. I don't get it. I don't get it. But if it's one thing I know, I'm not going to cherry pick the story based on a race. I'm not going to do that. That makes no sense to me. But what I will share with you is there is a lot of true crime that goes on out there. As we know, there's a lot of true crime. And truth is, we need voices for these cases. We need voices for these cases. That is a key thing. Who's going to be the voices? I'm just being another voice. I'm just being another voice. Because truth is, I want to keep you alert, aware of what we need to keep our eyes open for. And truth is, we should protect these kids. Someone has to care. So, my friends, please don't turn a blind eye. Don't think, ooh, I better stay out of it. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. They have a lot of 800 hotlines. My friends, those kids are all of our kids. You know why? Because they are our future. They are the future of how this world will continue to grow into its own world. So if we don't protect the children and you got these freaking ugly parents who are not protecting these children, who's going to be the voice of reason? Who's going to help us keep an eye open? Let me tell you, I do know that people speak up. As someone who went through the foster system because my mom and family were so hung up on drugs, guess what? People called Child Protective Services on my mother. They came, they spoke, and before you know it, one day out of left field, I come home from a friend's house after school, and everyone's in a panic. People came and took my brothers away, and I wasn't taken away because I was at a friend's house. You best believe that night I went over to my aunt's house and I stayed there. And we were never returned to my mom again. My mom would later die of AIDS because she was so caught up in drugs. And as she would tell me later, she was on a mission. Mom, rest in peace. Today would be her birthday if she was alive. And I'm going to tell you, drugs are hard. Drugs are very hard. It can ruin a whole family. I don't know if there's drugs involved in this. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to guess. But I do know a mom who should have never have been a mom had 7 kids. I don't know. I'm gonna guess, And according, as I shared in my last story, the twins said, yeah, it happened to our other younger twins, but they weren't abused as much as we were. My friends, if you see something, speak up to end child abuse. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to serving you again. This is about the victims. Please, please pray that these kids find their peace in their future. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to serving you again.